value. But I'm going to start with where it all begins, and it all begins with ideas. And iconic ideas, not just any idea. And I just pretty start this thing because John mentioned this problems and the negative thing. And I've just finished doing the preliminary judging for D&AD. I'll be going there. I'll be going to London end of the month, where we'll be judging probably about 1,000 pieces of work. I'm judging direct marketing, which is actually great because you generally get a lot of crossover work. I mean, they have direct response, direct digital, direct integrated, direct ambient, direct print and poster, direct TV and direct radio. So you end up seeing the breadth of work from around the world. It took 15 hours to get through, judging 251 case study videos. Eventually, I had my eyes pointing in all different directions. And this thing, problems that John mentioned, I just remembered the beginning of every case study video generally doesn't start with the brief, it starts with the problem. That's what a brief is. It's a challenge to overcome. And what I noticed is that the best ideas came from the most interesting problems, the most unique problems unique to a particular sector of people or a country, because every country has different problems. Some have the same problems. And it's finding those interesting problems is where you're going to find the interesting solutions. Zimbabwean was a great example. The fact that the Zimbabwean currency had devalued so much that the paper became less than that, it was an interesting problem to communicate. So when you have discussions with people and you go, oh, that's quite a hectic thing, what can we do to talk about it, to amplify it, to reach people on this particular problem? And I sat with a strategist yesterday talking about two big topics in this country. I'm not going to mention them because they're quite harrowing. And it was actually like, whoa, it's like, I didn't know that. And one of them was actually talking about the struggle in this country. And we started talking about the new struggle. We're talking about new problems and how it's everyone's problem in terms of, sort of load shedding being one and crime and all those things. Is this not the new struggle? We start talking about things like this. This is where great ideas come from because you've got very interesting and unique problems. And I think it's a very important starting point. And it's the same as any brief. A client comes to you, I'm looking for this and this and this. That is a challenge to you to find an interesting solution. That is their problem. What is your solution creatively? So I want to start right at the beginning. Every single person, every single team has a very different approach to conceptualizing ideas. When I was actively in a team, I was a pain in the ass. I'm a little bit ADHD, attention deficit disorder, hyperactivity. So I'd basically be brainstorming with a guy and I'd write down, the dog jumps over the fence, but I'd write FE on the last thing and then walk out the office. I'll then come back 5 minutes later, look at the idea, I haven't completed it on the wall and go, no, next, carry on. And I drove him nuts because I was always in and out. I had a way of working where I had to go walk away and digest things. I've calmed down a lot now that I'm a little bit older and my approach has changed somewhat. But the point is, everyone has a different approach. So first thing, make sure you clearly understand the brief. This is important, and I think that comes down to when you're sitting with the account management, or even better, when you're sitting with the client, ask all the questions. Ask the stupid questions even the ones you think, ask them all, because I promise you, the more you get out of them, the more insights you get out of them, the better chance you're going to have of finding that idea, finding it sooner, and cracking it first time when you present it. So make sure you clearly understand the brief. Never leave it going, does she mean this or mean that? We'll figure it out. And what happens? You go down the wrong road and you're screwed. Been there, done that. Now I ask all the stupid questions. And boy, it pays off in the end. Second thing, get out of the agency. Change your environment. You've probably heard that one before. You're stuck between 4 prefab walls and crappy lighting. You're sitting there and that's your environment. And you're trying to think of ideas and you're chewing on the end of your pencil. Go to a coffee shop. Go sit in a park. Just change your environment. It's a lot better. You feel free. You're looking at different things. Also, that's quite important as well, I think, with creatives. And you're not going to learn a hell of a lot working your ass or staying in your office all the time. It also comes down to individuals trying different things to themselves. Creatives are people. Creatives want to experience things. They have things they love, whether it's playing a guitar or going to other music festivals or, going to a beer tasting. Do all that stuff because that's where you become interesting. And your interesting you comes through in your ideas and in your work. Sometimes it's hard, we get a bit bogged down, pressure's on us, but I think it's important to find that balance. And then clear your mind of anything not related to the brief. I think it's important to maintain focus. You've got so many hours to brainstorm something. Close your email, don't read emails, put your cell phone to the side, don't WhatsApp or tweet or Facebook. Put it aside and just focus. Use that time wisely. Time management is so important. You're given very limited time to think of ideas, then think of how you want to execute it, then think about how you're going to package it, and what we often stumble on, which I'll talk about later, is how we're going to sell it. Because everything condenses. So clear your mind, clear everything. And this really does speak to time management. Spend time looking at award-winning work, or what I like to do, this is me personally, I like to look at blogs and websites. I spend a lot of time on 9gag, BuzzFeed, Found, which is 4Fs, because it's filling the well. It's just seeing stuff, 25, like listing, 25 of the most ridiculous things you've ever seen. 25 the most ridiculous things Paris Hilton has said. It's just because you never know what's going to come from just taking in stuff. And quite importantly, this helps you understand the level, understand what the benchmark is, what are great ideas, how they're packaged. So it's very important to, when you get gaps in, between jobs or you've got time on the weekend, just sit and watch award-winning work. As I said, I watched 251 videos. I want to ask you, out of those 251 pieces, how many, and just everyone can throw numbers at me, how many do you think got past, I put through in the first round, out of that 251? Throw a number at me, anyone.
15.
No, that's a shame. Just, I put through 64 pieces. So that means close to 200 pieces already are gone in my view. Now, I'm one judge. There were actually 500 videos divided between 4 and 4 judges. Now, you need to get at least 2 votes per piece of work to get through to the next round, and then it gets judged again just to get in the book. To give you an indication, if your work gets into D&AD, the book, you're in the top 4%. That means 96% of the work doesn't make it. It's that hard. Your ideas have to be that good. Your results have to be that good. Your executions have to be that good. It's important to look at what that good is and keep looking at it. So I'm going to go through 5 principles. I'm probably running behind now. Okay, first principle, and it's the most important principle, and I think it's overarching. And I even had our head of PBB saying it over and over again, and that was human truth yesterday. Okay, now it'll come up because I have to have the shimmer. Okay, is your idea based on a human truth or insight? Generally, if it isn't, it's probably not good. The other thing is possibly it's an observation, something you've seen and you put a little twist on it. But most, if not all, the best ideas are based on a human truth or an insight. Something that I go, yes, that's me. I relate to that. It's like, yeah, that's how I behave, or that's how they behave. I've seen that. Consumers relate to ideas that portray or exaggerate their very own behavior. We can relate to it because it's something we do, and you've put a little twist on it, but they'll relate to it. You're going to get an interesting response. It's going to stand up above anything else that seems contrived or forced. And a lot of ideas are contrived or forced. So, and the brilliant part about this is insights. You're going to get very different ones out of Nigeria, out of Mozambique, out of Ghana, because they're different insights. They're different, let's say cultures, and different cultures do different things. So in my culture, we do this, and that's why when we had this campaign, this made sense. That's an insight into your market Very, very important. If it comes from a strong insight, generally your ideas are going to be strong. This is my favorite piece of work last year. It's probably in my top 5 of all time. We all want to actually spend the money on ourselves. That's a human insight. When you go shopping, you go, okay, I've got X amount of money. I'm going to buy this present. I'm going to go, oh, that looks amazing. I'll buy something small. So they created small products. So you could spend the money on yourself. That's a human insight.
Christmas is all about giving, sharing and caring. But at Harvey Nichols, the UK's leading luxury fashion retailer, it's all about me, me, me. To help our customers out, we invented a new line of products for the festive season, the Sorry I Spent It On Myself gift collection. A range of budget presents that we created specially so people could spend less on others and more on themselves. We made the range available at all Harvey Nichols stores across the UK, as well as online. Must-have items included an elastic band gift set, a waterproof sink plug, and a bag of gravel. We even produced a Christmas lunch in a tin and boxes of crackers, complete with hats and jokes, but not gifts or bangs, obviously. And for the truly selfish, we created a free downloadable Christmas card. We announced the range to the public with a print campaign and a promotional film that was seeded online.
Christmas lunch in a tin with most of the trimmings.
By the time of the launch, the anticipation was huge. But just to be sure, we released a commercial both online and in cinemas on the day.
Elastic bands.
Elastic bands from Harvey Nichols, Dad.
I do hope you haven't spent all your precious money on me. Naughty boy. Paper clips.
What is it?
It's a sink plug.
The internet went crazy for it. As did the media. Despite only having a fraction of the budget of their competitors, it was the most controversial Christmas campaign of the year. Most importantly of all, the customers loved it too. The entire range, just short of 20,000 products, sold out within 3 days, and Harvey Nichols went on to have one of their best Christmases to date.
Really, really awesome. That was, I think, along with Volvo, the most awarded campaign last year. Because it's, first of all, they had a great idea for great insights, and then they were able to go and go, well, we've got these products, now we market these little products. We could do print ads, we could do merchandising, we could do TV. Now, if they didn't have the budget to do TV, they could just do online film if they wanted to. But the idea was so strong, they just used their budget to get that reach. Okay, it's my second favorite from Cannes, actually. And I love it because it's so true, and it's quite funny. I actually went to my cupboard and I opened it, and I went like this the other day, and my mom was sitting at the back. I'm like, that's what you call more of an insight, because that's what happens, and it's an observation. They obviously saw it's an observation, and use that in observation to create this idea.
It's an early start for the rescue team as they visit a house in West London.
Neighbours reckon they're a little bit testy. We've had a couple of reports of neglect at this address. All we're going to do is have a little look around your cupboards.
Oh, stuck right at the back. Who knows how long that's been in here.
The team's only option is to remove the stricken jar.
Get him back, clean him up.
Soon, a more delicate case is called in.
Wonder if I could come in and have a little chat. I think you might know what it's about. Yeah.
As the team have come to learn, offenders can be from all walks of life.
Promise he will go to a good home.
I'm sorry.
Across town, Lucy is dealing with a very different call.
I don't know why you're here, to be honest with you.
It doesn't take long before new recruit Callum Howe finds another jar in a shocking state.
Oh no.
What's the matter?
It's baby one.
Okay, don't panic.
It's not been used in months.
All right.
Lid's stuck.
All right, gently, gently.
I can change.
For those new to the job, such scenes of neglect can be traumatic.
A little jar.
I've not seen one that small before.
After an emotional day, the team drop off the rescued jars at the rehoming centre,
Really love this one. Okay.
where a proud family welcomes their new addition.
Josh?
Love it, hate it, just don't forget it.
And what is really smart is that They produced an award campaign before that. It was you either love it or hate it. So they're building upon, they were very smart in their thinking was, they already established that campaign. Let's build upon it. And they were able to evolve it into a very different space. Okay, second principle. Ask yourself, is your idea going to change perception? I think creatively, and it's very hard, and you have to be very honest with yourself. Because we as creators go, yeah, that's going to do really well, it's amazing, that's cool. And you fall in love with your own ideas. Fall in love with your own ideas. But are they the best ideas? And that's when you've got to kind of remove yourself from them and go, well, is that going to work? Is your idea really going to generate sales or inquiries? Is your idea going to make people switch to another bank? Is your idea going to make people donate to that cause? Those are questions you ask yourself when you're working in the process of coming up with ideas. Because I think the strongest creatives I've ever worked with are honest about their own ideas. They actually go, sure, actually, I mean, it's cool, but is it going to work? What happens if we did this? And boom. They never stop. Ask yourself those questions. Don't fall in love with your ideas too soon. As a young creative, I did that. I was like, oh my God. And I wrote it down and went, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? What do you think of this? And our people were like, they're going, nah. And then I'll go back to my office. But I really thought it was good. You know, you kind of, because you get carried away because we love what we do. We're idea generators. I think you've got to look at things, you've got to remove yourself from the work. Do the pillow test if need be. Come in the next morning and go, well, is it really, really that great? Is your idea truly iconic? That's the big question. Once again, you've seen what the standards are out there. You know, so some ideas might be more hard-working in terms of what you need to do, but then you'll ask your question, is it going to do that job that's required in the brief? Will your idea make a difference? I saw this thing and I actually watched it once and I kind of didn't want to watch it again because it was quite hectic. But what they did was just brilliant and they got results from it. And as I said, I was judging and I just kind of watched, I get to the results section and I become a little desensitized. It's like, this got 14 million retweets and 680 billion impressions and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, you know, and it rambles on. But like when your results are designed to find sex offenders and you find them, that's wow.
My name is Sweetie. I'm 10 years old. I live in the Philippines. Every day I have to sit in front of the webcam and talk to men, just like tens of thousands of other kids. The men ask me to take off my clothes. They play with themselves. They want me to play with myself. As soon as I go online, they come to me. But what they don't know, I'm not real. I'm a computer model, made piece by piece, to track down these men who do this.
Webcam child sex tourism is a new phenomenon that's spreading like an epidemic. Men from rich countries pay children in poor countries to perform sexual acts in front of webcams. We estimate that tens of thousands of kids, some of them only 6 years old, are abused behind cams in the Philippines alone. But instead of hundreds of thousands of convictions, we could only find 6 men who have ever been charged. Our solution? Proactive policing. To stop predators, we need to patrol the websites where they commit these crimes and catch them in the act. We went undercover posing as a 10-year-old Filipino girl on public chat rooms. Sweetie is a computer model we created to look and move like a real girl.
I'm not real.
Men think she's sitting in front of a webcam in the Philippines, but actually, we were operating her from a warehouse in the capital of the Netherlands. In just 10 weeks, we identified 1,000 predators from 71 countries. Instantly, Sweetie became world news.
Webcam sex tourism.
Investigators tracked down their addresses and photos and handed them over to Interpol.
She is the weapon against online sex tourism.
46 Australians have been handed to international police.
I'm of course very happy for Terresams that they have made this case.
1 billion people have seen the Sweetie campaign. Webcam child sex tourism is now a globally recognized problem. But what we're most proud of, Predators are being stopped.
17 people from Britain have been arrested.
And children are being saved.
Around 15 children aged 6 to 15 were rescued.
That's results. They are real. I don't give a shit about your 680,000 media impressions. You know what I mean? That's real. So like when the question is asked, like, will this catch the predators? Will this save the kids? If I was reviewing that idea, I would have gone, this will work. It's very, very smart. They won the Black Pencil at D&AD last year, by the way. They don't hand those out easily. Third principle, is your idea pushing boundaries? It could be a great idea, you know. Is it going to challenge the norm? Is it going to make people feel a little uncomfortable? Is it going to make them go, whoa, stand back? Sweetie does that. It makes you go, that challenges everything. Challenges everything I would have expected. Consumers relate to ideas that challenge the norm. It's not necessarily about shock tactics. That sometimes works, and that sometimes can be also quite desensitizing. It depends on what you're working on, what client's piece of business you're working on, or who you want to sell the idea to. So shock tactics works in some cases. It's been used quite a lot in sort of like drunken driving ads or pieces of communication. They use it, and some of them use it better than others. But is it pushing boundaries? Is it making people stop? Is it sending a message to the consumer that is hard to ignore? They don't have to be expensive. So I say, beep, the budget.
UK charities are in trouble.
There's a combined impact of government funding reductions, decrease in donations from the public.
Donations are down 20% and government funding is down 60%. The Pillion Trust is tiny, just a few people trying to help one of the poorest communities in London. The cuts meant their shelter for young homeless kids was about to close. They needed help fast. But how do you ask for help if you have no money for big budget ad campaigns? We created a highly shareable online promotional film and asked the world for help.
Morning, buddy. How are you? Would you like to take a leaflet? Fuck the poor?
What do you mean, fuck the poor?
Fuck the poor. Fuck them.
That's disgusting.
What do you think we should do?
They've hit rock bottom. There's a reason for that. You should be thinking of a better way to get them off the street.
I think it's too far. That is offensive. Fuck
Help the poor. Anyone got any spare change, folks? Help the poor. Anybody?
The results?
Thank you, sir.
Over 3 million people watched the film in the first 7 days. Messages of support flooded in from around the world. Global online news coverage, 255 million media impressions, £8.3 million in earned media, copycat campaigns.
We saw this really inspirational video done by the Pillion Trust charity.
But best of all, donations went up by over 1,600%. Which meant a shelter for homeless kids didn't have to close.
If I wouldn't be here right now, I would probably be somewhere on the streets taking drugs.
Which just goes to show what you can do with a cardboard sign and a £500 budget.
So great ideas. They won 2 silvers in direct. A can. Yeah. 2 silvers in direct. I think I also got some other categories, but I still got 2 silvers. 2 boards in a video. That's what they made. Ideas don't have to cost you the earth. Fourth principle. Is your idea a clever twist on the expected? Now it's in line with human truth, but for me it's just like, I think as creatives we look at the world and we look at it differently, and it's about being observant and as opportunities come along, things like being quite tactical, a bit of social commentary when something happens, when a politician falls out his chair, do you quickly whip up a campaign and you serve it to your client? I think it's important to be nimble. Clever twists on the expected. So consumers rate ideas that take the expected and make it unexpected. The usual outdoor holding, well, maybe not. And I love this because this is they have a hell of a lot of outdoor. This is one of the outdoor sites, and all they did was they linked it to the digital environment in terms of British Airways' flight schedule. So all of a sudden it became more than just a normal piece of outdoor, became something more unexpected and far more engaging.
What the public saw as magic was actually a carefully orchestrated feat of technology. We mounted an ADS-B antenna on the roof of a nearby building to read live data directly from each aircraft's transponder within 200 kilometers. All aircraft emit radio waves containing their speed, altitude, GPS location, and a call sign. Our antenna was connected to a PC with a custom-built application, which identified the British Airways planes and sent the data to our cloud server that controlled the billboards. We created a virtual trigger zone in the sky that acted like a tripwire, so that when a BA plane entered our trigger zone, within 0.2 seconds we'd cross-reference the registration number with flight data from Heathrow to determine the destination. Cloud altitude data told us if the plane could be seen, and if it could, the information was sent to our billboard, interrupting the current content and playing our ad. We targeted a moment. The moment a plane flies overhead, inspiring our audience to share what they saw and igniting their passion to explore the world.
Back to John's point, it's one billboard. That's all they do is one billboard. There's a bit of technology, but we live in the world of sharing and social media and stuff. And if something's really great, it's shareable. You're going to get more traction just on one billboard. So the last one, and it's quite important, is your idea tapping into the zeitgeist. And I think it's about being current. Consumers relate to ideas that tap into popular culture. I've been wrapped over the knuckles in the past about being, that's a bit old-fashioned, are we tapping into what the youth are doing? Are we being current as a brand? These are questions that get thrown to me all the time, and it's important. So things like, we're working on a campaign now for Datsun, I can't unfortunately show it, I don't have it, but it's tapping into meme. We're in the meme generation. We're on the 9gag websites and the BuzzFeeds, as I mentioned. 25 things Paris Hilton has said that will make you cringe. Listing is still popular. That's what people are engaging with. We need to tap into it, and be the first to do so. Sometimes it's the first who does it gets the rewards. This is quite interesting. The game is a game which is a game, and this won at Cannes last year, where obviously John just showed the whole gaming world, and that's what the youth are doing. They're not going outside and they're not being active. But we do live in the gaming generation. Xboxes, PlayStations. And this was linking real footage of a real game happening, and then they fed in the actual game PS2 matching the goals being scored on live television, which I thought was pretty snaz.
Sale Millonarios, sale el Atlético Nacional. Vamos a saludar a Juan Pablo Coronado a esta hora con las toldas del equipo de los Millonarios.
Muy buenas noches, Tato. Un saludo muy especial para usted, para Carlos Antonio y para mi compañero Ricardo Arias, y un cordial saludo también para todos los televidentes de la pantalla de Win Sports. Son 3 en total las variantes que tendrá Millonarios en la noche de hoy. Joyver González y Daulin Leudo en el sector. Volumen, viene Nacional, viene remate a zurda, derecha, vino, golazo, vino, toque, vino. ¡Gol! Del siempre verde Atlético Nacional.
Los muñecos. Estuvo mejor el primero de Nájera ahí, de cabeza.
Viene Cayendo Roballo, le marcaron la falta a Juan David Valencia.
Creo que ni lo
Y
toca.
le hacen el semáforo.
No sé, a mí me gustaría volverla a ver. Y es una pena que se vaya porque era defensa de Millonarios. Qué mal salió. Ahora la respuesta azul.
¡Epa, el remate de Pica Barre no entró! No le dejaron hacer todo el movimiento. Otra victoria para Nacional de visitante en el Campín de Bogotá.
Okay. It's quite interesting. That's actually the DNAD's their campaign theme. I wish I'd done that. And I think you want the industry saying that about your work. I wish I'd done that. Or, sorry, why didn't I think of that? Because it's probably, you probably might have. You might have gone, oh, damn it, that's just so simple. And it's about being aware and observant of things around you and going, whoa, that's simple, but that's actually really interesting. We could do this and this, and bounce it off people the guys you work with. Also, something I've noticed is with certain teams, and it's even happening here. We work a little bit in bubbles. Teams always stay in the little bubbles, and I think it's important to collaborate within your departments and share thoughts, pull people in. Promise you, the end result can only be better. Once again, we tend to always fall in love with our own work and get quite protective and competitive in our own agency environment. But if you do that, you run the risk of these two things not being said about your work. And it's something quite important, and I've seen this in a lot of work. Never settle for your first idea, or second or third. Give it the best shot. Give 20, 50 ideas. You might come back to your first idea, but then you know that idea was amazing because you have exhausted every possible avenue. Time dependent, of course. But I think it's very important. And then it's all good having a fantastic idea, but where do most fantastic ideas fall flat? And I've done the preliminary judging on DNAD, and those 200 pieces I didn't put through were a result of two things. One, they were beautifully packaged non-ideas. They weren't great, they were tenuous at best. Lots of money spent on the packaging of it. And some of them had quite great results. But then I asked myself, after every time I looked at it, I go, so what is the idea? I relayed the idea back to myself and went, that doesn't feel fresh, doesn't feel current. On the flip side is some fantastic ideas executed quite poorly. So it's all good having a great idea, but you don't want that to fall flat. Spend time packaging, crafting, getting it to the best possible stage you want. And then if you're unsure whether your idea is truly iconic, you can hashtag Ask John Hunt, or you can phone him on that number.